All right, everybody, welcome back. This is it. This is our last morning together. This beautiful day in May. What we're going to spend this morning doing is, talking a little bit about the past, about what you guys have done this semester, and then also talking a little bit about the future, what happens next, where your journey in computer science will go next. So let me apologize right off the bat here, which is that I didn't quite leave enough time to get all of these numbers finished. I do have some that are still processing, and so I'll put those up later this morning or later today, and I'll send a link on the forum at that point. But there's a couple of actually like crunching all of the data you guys generate over the course of the semester actually takes a substantial amount of time. And I had a few issues with our backend databases this morning, so we'll get that done. But it's not completely done now. But we do have a couple of fun stories to tell, so let's take a look together. First of all, obviously we talk about the people that make up this class, particularly the staff, right? So I couldn't have done it this semester without help from a fantastic group of core staff, including 4 head CAs, people who really took leadership roles in the class in terms of helping us, keep things together and keep things moving forward, right? So we had Ben Nordic, who I need to say a few special things about because this is Ben's last semester with the class. He's going on to graduate school in the fall, and Ben has had just an amazing and enormous impact on this class. I really can't think of any student who has had more of an impact on the course since he joined the course staff, what seems like only yesterday, but was actually several semesters ago. So big thank you to Ben, who's kind of like the head CA this semester and is working on training some of the other head CAs. We had Dan Gleason, who was in charge of the forum, did a fantastic job in that role, keeping the forum running smoothly, organizing the help group, which a lot of you guys took advantage of and benefited from. So I thank Dan for his work on that. Max Kempinski, who was in charge of development and worked closely with many of our course developers who are working on projects that you guys might start to see come to fruition next fall, where we're going to have to do some things quite differently. We'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. And then Amirtha, who is the person who's taking over some of Ben's responsibilities going forward, particularly with respect to the MP. So she'll be working on rolling out the new machine project that we'll put in place next fall. The machine project is something that we're going to continue, but we're going to try to do a little bit of something different every year. The summer gives us some time to regroup and work out something different. We've learned a lot this year, both last semester and this semester, about how to run a project like this effectively and what kind of things work and don't work. And so we're going to apply some of that knowledge going forward to put together a better machine project for the fall. So those of you who will join us as CAs, and I hope that's many of you, will have a new exciting adventure to look forward to as you try to help students with a new machine project in the fall. We had a fantastic group of TAs this semester, as always. Our TAs are now, one of the most awarded groups of TAs within the school, within the computer science department in terms of the percentage of them that are getting, really good course evaluations and stuff like that. And so, I really thank them, and they do a lot of work to support you week in, week out in labs, right? Of course, things, changed a little bit this semester, and we missed some of that togetherness that we would normally enjoy in labs, but the TAs still play a big role in how the course is delivered. So I thank them for their hard work. Our office hour captains, this group is again a fantastic group of staff that really worked hard to make sure office hours worked. Tried some new things this semester in terms of organizational strategies and things like that, and that's something that we're going to learn from, and again try to make sure that we use that information to improve the course as we go forward. This was our first semester experimenting with some paid course staff working in sort of CA type roles, but with some additional responsibility, and this group worked out really well. So I don't have anything bad to say about any of the people on this slide. They're just incredible individuals, and you guys should be very thankful that they were willing to work this semester so hard to help you guys. We had a fantastic group of CAs, as we always do. I hope a lot of them will be back in the fall, and I hope that many of the people here taking the class this semester will consider that role. It's a fantastic way to solidify your knowledge about computer science, is to serve as a CS125 course assistant. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a few slides. And then behind the scenes, working as part of an actual for-credit course this semester, we had a group of students that are working on various development projects who've helped me out, improving some of our existing tools, planning some new stuff. And again, these are projects that we don't typically see come to fruition within a single semester, but hopefully some of them will start to see them having an impact in the fall. And then, of course, one of the reasons this class works is that you guys help each other, right? So you guys work together, put your heads together in office hours on the forum and spend time answering each other's questions and working in that way, right? So I thank you all for that. That's not what I want to do. Okay, sorry. We're back. Open up a new window though. I'm gonna need to look up some things in a second. All right, cool. But let's, one of the reasons why we do this is to give you a chance to reflect about all the hard work that you put in this semester. And, my role here is really kind of as a facilitator, right? I put up, what we try to do, and by we, I mean myself and the course staff, is we try to put together a good experience for you in terms of, thinking about the problems we ask, thinking about how we cover the material. That's something that we always try to do better and better every semester. But at the end of the day, you have to do the work. We can't do the work for you. We can't learn it for you. It's your brain that has to, have a chance to absorb this material through practice and hard work and effort. And we're there along the way to provide, guidance to try to shape your experience a little bit by putting various obstacles and challenges in front of you, and hopefully by offering some encouragement, which is a big part of the role that the course staff plays. But at the end of the day, this is about you and the work that you did. So let's talk a little bit about that. We had 40 classes, I think, this semester. I may be off by 1 or 2 there. The number of slides that we looked at, this number is a little bit incorrect because I think it's only counting 10 a.m. classes, so it doesn't count the last couple of Wednesdays where we had class at 11 due to the quiz that we would normally have at 10 a.m. The number of total people who attended class was actually down pretty significantly from past semesters, but that makes sense because we stopped counting lecture participation once the pandemic hit, so around spring break. However, the number of minutes that people watched on YouTube is actually up substantially, about twice, I think, if not a little bit more, right? So people were still keeping up with the class by watching the YouTube videos that we had posted online, so I was happy to see that. This number is pretty normal, so people were taking advantage of the slides as they have in previous semesters. As always, there are, so usually I look at both, the number of students that never attended class, and then there's usually a couple that attended all the classes. So this semester, the number that attended all, I decided not to do that because it was confusing because there were a bunch of classes that we canceled and things like that. So, or we didn't cancel, or we did it online. But there were still 2 students who never earned a single participation point in the entire class. So I don't know, I guess that's impressive from a particular perspective. So let's look at what you did on the forum. So this is, one of the places where people come together, particularly in a more virtual setting. And so understanding how you guys use this tool is really important for us, particularly as we look forward to future semesters where we're going to have to continue to be able to provide really effective virtual support for students. So on the forum, you guys created, these are students, right? So students created about 3,000 topics, and then that's like a thread on Discourse, and then generated about 10,000 posts. So each one of those is a reply. You guys also were really active in reading these. So across the entire group of students, you entered, this is, I read the topic, right? So you entered, this is the number of topic entrances, right? So if you do the math, that works out to be, I don't know, I can't do let's see, given the number of students, that's quite a few, right? That's my extremely precise calculation per student. And then, 283,000 posts read, right? So each post is a reply, right? So you guys were busy on the forum and you took advantage of this, which I was happy. I spent about, 2,000 hours total reading content on the forum, and handed out about 3,500 likes, right? So we also look at the staff activity on the forum because, again, this is a big way that our course staff work with you under Dan's supervision to help you and to make sure that you're understanding the material, to provide help on the homework problems and things like this. So the staff also tend to be very active on the forum, and as usual they were. In fact, if you look at this number, they actually looked at more topics and spent more time reading forum content than the students did, despite the fact that there's, about a quarter the number of staff as there are students, right? So this is pretty impressive. They spend a lot of time on the forum, right? So again, you guys spent about 2,000 hours? They spent almost twice that, right? So they were really there for you, trying to help, trying to get a sense of what you guys were struggling with and making sure that they were applying and generating content. They had it about 20,000 likes, right? So, trying to be supportive, trying to make sure that you guys feel encouraged when you come to the forum for help. All right, so I have, like I said before, I have no numbers for the homework yet, which is unfortunate because the homework numbers are usually some of the most fun ones to look at. I have some numbers for the MP, but not all of them, right? Because we're still crunching some of the data that you guys generated. About 15,000 commits from about 12,000 submissions. These numbers are pretty normal. So that second number, this number is incorrect, right? So about 22,000 autograder runs, and then the rest, is there more on this slide? Oh no, this is correct, right? So about 4.6 million added or modified lines of code. And again, this includes patches that we gave you, so the number that you guys actually generated is probably smaller than that, but you guys spent a lot of time working on the MP, submitting things, and did quite well by the end of the day. So again, I'll put up a few additional numbers later today, but my goal here is really just to emphasize how hard you worked this semester. One of the numbers I like that we've looked at in the past that's probably pretty similar is for every successful homework submission, it took 5 or 6 incorrect submissions. Okay, and this is part of life in computer science and when you work with software and computers, right? Computers are so precise and so literal that they don't let you get away with mistakes. They don't let you get away with something that's not exactly right? They are very, very, very persnickety and very precise. And that's something that, I hope part of what you've learned this semester, and maybe something that you've started to learn and grow as a programmer and as a computer scientist, is making your peace with this and finding ways to cope with it, because it is part of the field, particularly if you continue to work in software. I spent the last couple of days, banging my head against this, really tricky piece of, work that I was trying to do for one of the tools that we work on for this class, and it gets frustrating, and that does not go away. I've been doing this a long time, and I still get, upset. It probably took me 5 or 6 different ways of trying to accomplish this particular task before I actually found what worked. Each one of those took like multiple hours, and required lots of writing code and futzing around. So, if you think that this stops, it doesn't, right? And again, that's sort of both good news and bad news. The good news is, for some of you, you're better at this than you think you are, right? The bad news is, for some of you, it doesn't stop, right? You have to kind of make your peace with frustration and learn to kind of the value of determination and not giving up, right? There is almost always a way to do what you want and to accomplish what you want with a computer, right? The difference is how hard are you willing to get there? How hard are you willing to work to get there? And the journey may be long and it may be rough, but it will end, and you guys will accomplish what you want as long as you don't give up. Keep that in mind as you move on and continue your journey in computer science and other courses and in other places. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you might do next in the future. So some of you are going to go on and take 126, a couple of you. We usually don't have too many CS majors in the spring, but a couple of you will have the chance to take that in the fall. That's fantastic, good for you. Many of you won't, unfortunately, and this is something that we're actually in the process of addressing, I hope, within the department. Some of you actually may benefit from this change. I don't want to, spoil the surprise or say too much about it because it's not a done deal, but we are looking at addressing the pathway through our introductory courses to try to make sure that everybody arrives in 225 with a similar level of preparation. So that's something that I hope we'll have some exciting news about next semester or next year, maybe not until next spring, but it's coming. However, if you don't have a chance to take 126 and you want to take 225 and maybe you want to transfer into computer science or maybe you want to do a minor, here's the most important piece of advice for you to think about in the fall. You gotta do something, you got to do something to keep, your code hand dirty, right? To keep programming. You have to do it. If you take an entire, so let's think about it. It's May, right? And let's say you're planning on taking 225 next spring, all right? So May to January, that's like almost at least 6 months, if not 7 months. If you don't write another line of code between now and then, you will not be prepared for CS225. It's in a different language, it moves quickly, it's challenging more from an algorithmic and a theoretical perspective than 125, so you won't be ready. You just won't. So if you can take 126, you're in good shape because that course is designed to help you prepare. If you can't, there are other options, but you really can't just take 173 in the fall and expect to coast into to 225 and do okay. It's not a winning strategy. So instead, think about your options, right? One thing you can do is you can be a CA for 125. That will keep you busy helping other students, keep you exposed to code. If you decide to work on the new MP, you'll get a chance to write some code yourself. So that's not a bad option. Another option for those of you that haven't taken it already is to take the CS 125 honors course. If you didn't take it this semester, that's okay. You didn't have to take it this semester. You can actually take it next fall if you want. But again, if you take, it's not 9 months, that's for the fall semester, but if you take even 6 months off and just show up in CS 225, again, it's just not going to go well. Another option, so this is something that we started this semester and went okay. I mean, it was a little bit of a struggle, particularly with the sudden change in circumstances. But I'm going to teach again this 1 credit hour course on Kotlin programming next semester. So Kotlin is, what does my link go to? Oh, okay, it goes to Kotlin Lang, but it actually, we actually have a website for the course up right here, kotlin.cs.edu, .illinois.edu, which you can check out if you want. It's got a playground, it's got a bunch of examples and some of the material that we'll go through in that class. So what is Kotlin? Kotlin is another programming language. It's a different programming language. It's a programming language that interoperates with Java, but it has its own syntax and its own idioms, and it will stretch your brain in new ways. So, we have a little playground here if you want to play with Kotlin. Kotlin has some really neat features that make certain types of programming really, really interesting. So for example, let's see, this is how I declare a variable in Kotlin, and it turns out in Kotlin I can actually use an if statement as an expression. So I can do something like this, and then up here what I'll do is I'll say val I is equal to 0 to 10, and then I'll print. It's a nice println statement in Kotlin. It's a little bit nicer. So this shows you some of the idioms that you'll encounter in Kotlin, right? You might see that there's no class here. It's not like Java where everything has to be inside a class. There are some ways it is designed to interoperate with Java. So in some ways you can think of Kotlin as a much more advanced futuristic version of Java. It's like what Java might become if it continues to evolve for another 10 or 15 years. Kotlin is there already. And so that's another option, again, just for you to think about if you want to continue to program and when you want to continue to keep your skills sharp, right? All right, so I've talked my own course long enough. Another great option is to become a CA. I don't have the fall 2020 sign-up form up yet, but there is information on the join page about some of the options that you'll have as a CA and what we'll expect of you. We do run a training program, a brand new training program that Rima put together this semester that was a real big success, so I'm excited about that. We will give you practice. Now, I don't know what things are going to be like in the fall. I'm not going to make any predictions. I'm not going to, I don't want to say something incorrect or whatever, but I have a strong suspicion that we're going to have to provide a lot of support online. And so we're going to need help from course assistants. We're really going to need help in the fall. And so I would really encourage you, anybody who has completed this course is qualified to be a CA. There's no application requirements. We will train you. It's hard work. And I hope some of you from your interactions with our CAs this semester have come to appreciate that, right? Helping somebody else work on their code is very, very different than writing your own. It's much more challenging to kind of have to enter into somebody else's mental world in order to help them. Okay. All right, so this is one of the favorite things I get to do every semester. So one of the things we've done the past couple semesters is we started to take this last class as an opportunity. And again, I wish we were all together in Lincoln Hall. It's always a fun time to kind of gather together once more. But today we're doing it virtually, and that's just good. That's the best we can do, right? Although I will say, I really do miss having a chance to interact with all of you in person. Even just being together in a big, classroom sounds like fun now, even if it's not super, super intimate all the time. All right, so the way we give this award is I talk with the course staff. There's two of these that are given out in consultation with the course staff. And then there's a third one that is basically something that I can compute extremely easily, right? And so let me go pull up who this year's winners are. So we give a community award, right? And that's for someone who we see as making sort of positive contributions to our community. That can be in office hours, helping other students. That can be on the forum. That can just be somebody that the course staff feels like has been a positive presence. This particular individual is someone who came up, was mentioned by a bunch of course staff members. I'll put the names up on here later. I'm just going to announce them right now. And that would be Monica Parra. So that's our this semester's winner for our community award. Congratulations to Monica. I expect all these people to be back as course staff members next semester. No pressure, but we certainly would hope that you would do that. So the practice award is something that's pretty easy for us to do, because essentially what I do is I look at how much time people spent on the programming practice problems, and specifically on the homework 125 problems, right? Those are the problems that you don't get any credit for, but are still a huge help to people as they learn this material. And so to me, this is a great sense of, who's putting in the time and energy, right? Who's actually getting practice. We tell you guys how important practice is to your mastery of this material. And so, it's and we expect you to do that, right? So this semester, the person who wins the practice award is Claire Yip. I won't embarrass her by talking about how much time she actually spent on the practice problems, but it was substantial, right? And I think that she benefited from all that hard work. All right, the last award is the Determination Award, and this is an award that we give to somebody who has struggled, right? Someone that the course staff has watched have a difficult time from time to time. Struggle with the material, struggle with their own motivation, struggle with potentially a sense of belonging, but someone who came through, who worked through those struggles, and who managed to persevere and has really experienced some success in the class. This is, we see a lot of this from students, right? We see a lot of students that exhibit this quality. And so this is not a particularly easy award to give, but this semester the course staff felt that Ben Cloud deserved this award as someone who really, was determined, put in the work, and kept a positive spirit throughout. So congratulations to Ben. And again, I'll put the names up here later so that people can see. All right, so normally what we would do now is you guys would do the ISIS forms in class, because Illinois is still living in the past, and we would still normally do those on paper. Probably the only positive thing that has come out of this entire pandemic, at least from my perspective here at Illinois, is that we are actually now going to do online ISIS forms, which of course has been, the idea of filling out a form online is not exactly a new thing, but for a variety of reasons, people here were hesitant to do that. Now, of course, we have no choice. So you guys will have a chance to fill out an online ISIS evaluation, and I hope that you will do that. I will, to the degree that it's possible for me to encourage you to do that, send reminders and stuff like that, I will do that. because the feedback is incredibly useful for us. And so one of the things I want to do in order to motivate your consideration of completing this form is talk about the changes that we've made over the past couple semesters responding to feedback that we received through ISIS. So we get these forms, whatever format they come in, whether it's paper or online, and we read them. We look at them, we process them, and we make changes based on that. Sometimes those changes take a little while to materialize. It's not easy to take a big course like this and suddenly do something brand new. But we do actually have some important challenges that we're going to be facing next fall, and it would be great to hear from you guys about some of, particularly kind of some of the things we tried in the second half of this semester after post-break, post-pandemic, and see how effective those were for helping you. So, I'll try to make these quick, although I feel like it's fun to highlight the changes that we've made as a result of student feedback. So the homework problems that you guys have worked on this semester, probably the last semester that we're going to use these homework problems, but they emerged because of student feedback. So essentially, over the summer of 2018, I was looking at the spring 2017 was the first time I taught the class, and spring 2018. And so, I was looking at some of the feedback, and students, we had started to use a small number of these homework problems, but students really liked them. And they felt like they were helpful. And so in fall 2018, we went all in, and I basically wrote one every single day for the entire semester, and that's the set that we've been using, along with the ones that are on the quizzes and stuff like that, right? Like I said, that set is probably on its last legs at this point, so we will be replacing or at least refreshing a lot of those problems in the fall. But that's definitely, the idea of having students do a little bit of work every day has become a real foundational principle of this class, and that came about because of feedback from students. Spring 2019, we always get a lot of feedback about the labs. People didn't like the labs, and so spring 2019, we underwent a pretty major renovation of the lab content. It's not the last one we did, but it was certainly one that came about, again, because of student feedback that started to become, persistent, right? It was like, oh, the labs aren't very good, oh, the labs aren't very good. We hear that a few times over multiple semesters, and then we decided to do something about it. Fall 2019, so this year was the first academic year that we used the machine project. And again, that emerged out of people talking about us doing these multiple small projects, but I don't really feel like I'm getting an experience and seeing a longer time horizon of how things come together. And so that's partly where our conception for the machine project came from, was this idea of giving you guys a longer thing to work on in multiple chunks. This was the first year that we were able to do that, and Ben was a huge part of that, so I want to thank him for that, along with all the other really incredible contributions he's made to the class. But part of the impetus for this came from feedback from students, right? And then spring 2022, it's interesting, it's like way in the future, right? So apparently I'll still be teaching this class like 20,000 years from now. If that's the case, then so what about this semester? And this semester, again, we've continued to update the machine project. So we took feedback from last semester and the experiences that we've had, and I think that's going to be a big focus for the fall too, although we have some other things on our plate as well. All right, so like I said, we ran into some problems with our backend databases this morning. So the final project grades are starting to appear. The TAs and your staff will be working on those today. I'm putting up the preliminary. I will post preliminary letter grades and the letter grade cutoffs this morning once I can get our database issues figured out. So plan on being able to view those soon. And I will get those up today because I know that some of you are making credit, no credit decisions. Keep in mind that if your final project hasn't been graded, you're not going to have a pretty big chunk of the points. And so I don't want people freaking out. It's like, oh, I have a B, but it's like you have an 89. And once you get those 10 points for the final project, you're going to be in good shape. The cutoffs that we use this semester are not substantially different than the ones we've used in the past. I didn't think they needed to be. You guys did really good work, and the results are there to show it, right? So people in the class are going to do really well this semester, and I think that's a reflection of how hard you've worked. Before everything kind of went crazy, and then afterwards in this new normal that we're all living through. So I will, I'm always around on the forum. I'll be around on the forum for the next couple of days to answer some last questions. We are planning a version of a final project fair tomorrow. There's more details about that on the course forum. And so we'll have a chance for you guys to share your apps with each other by sharing the APKs. And so, normally one of the fun things about the fair, which we would normally do tomorrow, is that people have a chance to kind of walk around and get a sense of what other people did and talk to each other. And so we'll try to replicate that in some format tomorrow online. And that's, optional, obviously, and completely voluntary for those of you that want to participate. I am going to put up our traditional project page. It won't be the project fair page because we didn't do a fair, but I will put up our, page that has the YouTube, the descriptions and the YouTube links and stuff like that once that we get more of the project grading done. So over the next couple days. I get a real big kick out of teaching this class. This semester was obviously a struggle. I think that I know that all of you struggled. I'll admit that things have, I've been struggling on some levels with some of my own motivation, and it's been weird being at home, and having the rhythm of life disrupted, and particularly like I've talked to colleagues and they said, hey, it's hard to get motivated. There's just no sense of a student body anymore, right? There's no class, right? And as antiquated as some of our teaching methods might be, going into big classrooms, I mean, there is a human reality to this that I think is easy to get lost in when you don't have a chance to spend as much time. So anyway, thanks. I hope that we did a passable job given the circumstances. We are going to, we are looking towards fall because I think that, for the next couple of semesters, we're still going to have challenges related to COVID-19 that we're going to have to deal with. And so we're really sort of gearing up. We're going to work hard this summer to try to improve some of the things that we tried this semester and try some new things for the fall. I hope that many of you will be a part of that as course assistants and, even just kind of as observers and providing good feedback through the ISIS forums, which we'll use as we prepare and as we make a plan for going forward. All right. It was a real pleasure having you all in class, and I hope that you guys go on and do fun stuff. I hope I'll see a few of you in my Kotlin course next semester. We're still getting the information about that posted. I think the course listing isn't actually up yet, but I'll get that done over the next couple of days. And I hope I'll see some of you around as course staff, some of you around in my class, and those of you that go on and do other great things. Thank you for. I shouldn't say a great semester. I think it was a challenge, right? I think we should all be sort of honest with each other and say, whew, okay, we made it through that. And I think that you guys learned, I hope you guys learned enough to succeed downstream. I'd like to thank the staff, again, for all of their hard work, given these difficult circumstances. And I wish you guys all of the best in the future. Stay in touch, have a great summer, and I will see you guys around.